Maayong adlaw. Today, we will be discussing and imparting information about pictographs. Before we dig in the tunnel, we must identify first the learning objectives. After the discussion, the learners must be able to identify the definition of pictograph, to understand the history of pictograph, the application of the pictograph and how it is used and interpreted with correlating examples, to evaluate its purpose, and to create pictographs according to the data being collected. In order to complete these objectives, we will now proceed to the discussion.
Pictogram, a graphic indicator that transmits its meaning by graphical similarity to a physical object. It is widely recognized as pictogram, pictographs, or simply picto. It is the embodiment or display of various facts about any subject, object, or activities that utilizes graphics or picture icons. It's utilized in comparing data, engaging, and frequently found in newspapers and publications, and also a graphical tool where a picture represents a certain number of variables, and lastly, makes information simple and straightforward to comprehend. And now we're gonna explore the parts of the pictograph. The topic of the table or the variables that are reflected is addressed by the title, which is positioned at the top of the graph. The variables or data being compared are as referred to categories, and the visualization or projection of the variables are called icon or pictures. And the most essential component, the legend, since it includes the corresponding value of each icon at the bottom. It guides the reader of the numeric value of each icon.
History of pictograph. The first known writing system is the concept of pictographs. Pictographs are basically drawings that represent data or information. Ancient Sumerian, Egyptian, and Chinese civilization began to adopt this concept of pictographs. Pictographs were used all over the world since 9000 BC, including the Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt, and became popular 4,000 years later. It was developed or improved through the years. But the first pictograph appeared in 30,000 BC in the form of cave paintings about the anatomically modern man first set foot in Europe. Companies like Toyota and Philips were considered to be the early adopters of pictographs. It came into general use around the 70s. In the 12th century, new categories of pictorial signs emerged, but as hieroglyphs, they were considered neutral because they didn't fulfill the criteria of international symbolism. 3 centuries later, the invention of printing press gave birth to some pictorial signs that came close to pictographs.
In interpreting the data in a pictograph, you must understand and figure out what is being asked in the questions. Know all the symbols that are being used. In order to interpret the data correctly, the graph must be easy and organized as well so that the reader can distinguish or formulate a questions in their mind on what is being asked in the questions. So on this part, we will show you the steps on how to make or formulate a pictograph. First, collect all the data being represented in the given sample. Second, use a unique objects to represent or distinguish the data. Third, include necessary information which are being represented in the data. Fourth, use clear, simple, and recognizable symbols or objects which are easy to understand by the reader. And last, each symbols must have the respective quantity to be used in a pictograph.
So in continuation with the application and use of Pictograph, we can now move on how to learn and interpret or what is the importance of the pictograph. So it is significant to learn and interpret data mostly in our generation today or in our modern times as it helps an individual or a student to create or the ability to think faster and help them more focus on what is being presented on the given data or the given problem with the use of symbols or pictures which is being represented. So also it can be a great beginner to the young ones who are fond of learning, who are fond of pictures or symbols which is being presented that makes our graph more representable and or interesting so that the young ones can engage actively and can help them learn faster with the use of our symbols and objects being presented. So next is the where and when can we apply the pictograph? So we can apply Pictograph anytime and anywhere we want. So especially in my case, I am a Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology. It can be useful someday when I am presenting data or I am tasked to do on what are the improvement of the in the laboratory to discuss in the panel. So mostly it is used at work and also students also can use this when they are presenting data in an easy and recognizable way so that the readers also can catch up well easily or can interact more faster and they can learn as well with the use of pictures being presented.
For example, based on the vital statistics of the Philippine Statistics Authority, the top 5 causes of death in the country in 2020 were ischemic heart disease, neoplasm, also known as cancer, cerebrovascular disease, diabetes mellitus, and pneumonia. In 2020, deaths due to the ischemic heart disease with estimated 105,000 cases, cancer with estimated 65,000 cases, cerebrovascular disease with estimated 65,000 cases, diabetes with estimated 40,000 cases, and lastly, pneumonia with estimated 35,000 cases. In plotting the data, we need to have our key first. In our data, our key is the person symbol. 1 person symbol equals to 10,000 patients. Next is to display the data. So first, patients with ischemic heart disease. It says in a statement that ischemic heart disease has an estimated of 105,000 cases. 105,000 is divided by 10,000 is equals to 10.5 symbols. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and a half equals to 10.5 symbols. Next is our patients with cancers with 65,000 patients. 65,000 divided by 10,000 is equals to 6.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half equals to 6.5 symbols. Patients with cerebrovascular disease, same as our patients with cancer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.5 symbol equals to 65,000 patients. Patients with diabetes with an estimated of 40,000 cases. 1, 2, 3, 4. 40,000 patients. Lastly, our patients with pneumonia with an estimated of 35,000. So 1, 2, 3, 3.5 equals to 35,000 patients. And there we have our pictograph.
Now, let's go to the example. Here is a problem that we can use to make a pictograph. And our problem is, according to University of Cebu, Banilad Campus, Hematology Department, the most common blood type of the student in the school year 2020 can be seen in the following data that gathered. In the school year 2020, the gathered data stated that the most common blood type is O positive, which is a total number of 5,000 students. Next is the O negative, which is a total number of 4,990 students. Next is the AB positive, which is a total number of 4,980. Next to it is the AB negative, which is a total number of 4,880. Next is the A positive, which is a total number of 4,770. Next to A positive is the A negative, which is a total number of 4,670. Next is the B positive, which is a total number of 3,340. The last but not the least is the B negative, which is a total number of 3,300. Now, we can see an illustration which is an example of pictograph. The heart shape symbolizes the students, and its color symbolizes the number of students. The red heart has the total number of 1,000 students. The green, which is equals to 500. The yellow is equals to 100. The sky blue is equals to 50. And the light brown heart is equals to 10. So as you can see, the O positive has a total number of 5 red hearts, which is equivalent to 5,000. Next to it is the O negative, which has 4 reds, 1 green, 3 yellow, 1 sky blue, and 4 light brown, which is a total number of 4,990. Can you understand the pictograph now?
The table shows the total number of COVID vaccines available in the Philippines. The red bottle represents the total supply of 5,000 vaccines. The blue bottle represents the total supply of 2,500 vaccines. And the green bottle represents the total supply of 1,000 vaccines accessible. The AstraZeneca and Sinovac vaccines each have a total supply of 20,000 vaccines. The Pfizer vaccines has 22,000, the Moderna vaccines has 11,000, and the Sputnik V vaccines has 8,000 availability.
The purpose of pictograph. Pictograph are commonly used in writing and graphic system where the characters have a primarily pictorial appearance and are most useful for teaching young children to associate numbers with objects. It can aid in visually formatting statistics and making data more visually appealing and understandable, and allow us to quickly answer questions about data.
Pictograph, also known as pictogram, pictogram, or simply picto, are one of the most basic ways to represent data. The first pictograph appeared in 30,000 BC in the form of cave paintings about the anatomically modern man. Pictographs were used all over the world, including the Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. A pictograph is a visual representation of statistical data. And to represent data in pictograph, we use icons and images. These images or icons have a key, with each icon representing a different frequency. Data can be represented in a pictograph in a tabular form using this key. Without using pictograph, it is often more difficult to visualize data precisely. This is why pictographs should be used carefully to avoid accidentally or intentionally misrepresenting data. Also, learn and interpret data in pictograph to help you focus more on understanding the data with the use of symbols or pictures being represented. The graph must be easy and organized as well so that the reader can formulate questions in their mind on what is being asked in the question.
Now you have the knowledge. And I guess you are now ready to create on your own and to interpret pictographs. Daghang salamat, and carry our knowledge to wherever you may be. This has been Group 1, ready to take flight to another student. Goodbye.